Hey guys, welcome to Under Construction with Jerry Keenan, the Alliance for Actions podcast. This is where you can hear directly from the decision makers building a better future in New Jersey. Be sure to subscribe on your preferred platform so you never miss an episode. Now, here's Under Construction with Jerry Keenan.
And hello, everyone, and welcome to Under Construction with Jerry Keenan, the Alliance for Action's new podcast, which has been going great. And we've got another great guest here today. I want to welcome Donald Ferrell. Donald is the Senior Vice President for Facilities, Construction, and Real Estate at Hackensack Meridian Health Centers, or Health Network. So thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, Jerry. Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you. Now, I gave you a long title, which you gave me. I want to make sure I say it right again. The Senior Vice President for Facilities Management, Construction, and Real Estate at Hackensack Meridian Health. That's a long title. What does that mean?
So my responsibilities include maintenance and construction at all of the sites in the within the network, and then all of the real estate responsibilities that we have across the network. And we range from Bergen County down to Ocean County.
So when you say construction and real estate and everything else you do, what is a day in the life of Don Ferrell?
Try to travel to get to as many sites as I can. Try to spend some time in the office, obviously, to do my sort of day-to-day work. But make sure that the hospital sites have what they need to stay operational. The ambulatory care sites and the wellness centers, make sure they stay up and operational. And then we look to acquire different properties and make sure the properties that we have are well maintained.
Now, I grew up knowing Hackensack University Medical Center, and you, I believe years ago, your title said Hackensack University Medical Center.
Right.
Now it says Hackensack Meridian Health. Tell us the difference.
So Hackensack University Medical Center is sort of where I was born in my HMH career. But that is one of our sites, one of our 17 hospitals in the network. The others are JFK, Palisades Medical Center, Jersey Shore University Medical Center, Bay Shore, Raritan Bay, Southern Ocean University Medical Center.
Are you going to be able to really do this? Can you really name all 17?
I'm pretty good at getting them.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Now, I've had firsthand experience for, I guess it's JFK right here in Edison.
Yeah.
Being built by Terminal Construction. I actually went there after I met with you and Chris Hartman and Mark Sparta, the president, at your office in the Edison area. Mm-hmm. We took a ride over to Terminal Construction. We saw them, and they gave us a great tour. And I was joking with you before. I've actually been to your office probably before you've been there, although it's not finished yet.
Right. So that site is our new Metro Park facility, which will be one of our new health and wellness centers and our new corporate headquarters. JFK is actually one of the hospitals within our network that will be renovated, and we're looking at doing a master facility plan there to help grow the facility and help improve the services that they provide to the community.
So it's a Hackensack University Medical Center plus 16 other hospitals?
Yes.
And then hundreds, if not thousands, of...
Certainly hundreds of health and wellness centers and ambulatory care sites, physician offices, again, across the state.
So as far as construction and real estate and facilities go, you're the top guy for all of it.
I'm the guy, not the top guy.
Oh, well, okay.
But yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
So how do you're obviously, you mentioned traveling a lot. How do you get around to all these sites? I guess what you're saying is once the construction is done, your job is not done.
Correct.
Tell us about that.
Well, once the construction is done, we're responsible for moving the folks into the building. Going through state inspections, making sure that the end users are prepared for that. And then once they're in it and occupying it, we make sure that the lights are on and the heat and cooling stay on.
Wow. How did you get involved in construction? Were you the kid with the Tonka toys growing up? Or
I had Lincoln Logs,
Lincoln Logs?
and as a kid, but really I started my focus on a career in architecture. Watching a movie years ago, black and white movie, Fountainhead.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
And I said, wow, this is pretty impressive. And, the character in it, I think it was Cary Grant, I think was the main character. He had such a strong personality and a strong will of what he wanted to do, despite all of the obstacles around him. Didn't end well, but at least the character that he portrayed and what he was doing as an architect, I said that's what I want to do as a career.
That's pretty remarkable. You found your career through watching a movie. You're just having a good time, relaxing, and all of a sudden the light bulb goes off.
And I used to walk through construction sites in my neighborhood just to see how things got put together.
How old were you when you saw that movie? Do you remember?
Oh, gosh, I don't know, maybe 10.
That's pretty remarkable. Yeah. And then, so when you walked through these construction sites, what was that like?
Just, again, trying to see how things were put together, what's actually inside the walls.
Yeah.
I actually got kicked off a couple of times, but
sure.
I would usually do it on the weekends when no one was around.
Yeah.
And I decided that's what I wanted to do as a career. I applied for school. I got accepted actually to Penn State University, but I never went. I didn't know anyone who had been there, and as a young kid,
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in East Orange, New Jersey.
Okay. So as a young kid, you applied to Penn State, got accepted, but didn't go?
A friend of mine was going to Boston for 4th of July weekend, and I had been getting these letters from this school in Boston, and I said, well, since I'm there, why don't I see what the place is like?
Yeah.
So I had my transcript. I went into the admissions office, and the counselor said, okay, your grades are good. What would you like to do? And I said, well, what can I do? He goes, you can do anything you want. Now, imagine that as a 17-year-old kid, someone saying to you, you can do anything you want.
Yeah.
And you hear that growing up.
For sure.
But to actually have an adult outside of your sphere say that, I was like, wow, I like it here already.
Yeah.
So I started on the path of architectural engineering. I did in the school, Wentworth Institute of Technology. I met a lot of good friends there from the New York, New Jersey area. After my second year, I never came home. I stayed there during the summer. They have a co-op program, so what they want you to do is before you graduate, you have experience in the field that you're in.
Mm-hmm.
So at the time, I was working for the Department of Capital Construction and Planning for state of Massachusetts.
Okay.
So I actually had a space in the State House, which was pretty
Wow.
impressive. And you walk around, you tell people, "Hey, I work in the State House."
Yeah.
A friend of mine who was a civil engineer, who was one of the RAs that worked on campus that I knew, she worked for an engineering firm. She said, "Hey, we're starting an architectural division in the engineering firm. What do you think?" So, wow, maybe I have...
So all of a sudden, this is a real job opportunity.
Right. Maybe I have the opportunity to get in on the ground floor of something. And I'm like, okay. So sometimes I think about, did I really make the right decision? But I left my job at the state, and I went to work for this engineering firm. So I was really doing architectural work, drafting and doing some sketches. And I started to realize I don't want to do this for the rest of my life.
Okay.
I want to get out in the field to see how these things that we're drawing actually come together. So as fate would have it, I ended up getting laid off
Okay.
2 days before Thanksgiving,
Oh, okay.
which, wow,
Not so
pretty
what?
pretty devastating.
Yes.
I went to a alumni event. I met a friend who was an RA that I knew. I actually took his job. I was an RA at one point. And he said, "Oh, I have a friend who's looking for, estimators and construction people." I said, "Okay." Got in contact with him. The company was out in Pittsfield, which is the opposite end of the state of Massachusetts. So in the Berkshires, right? So hopped on a bus for 2 hours and went out and had an interview, and shortly thereafter I ended up working there.
Wow.
So I was there for 5 years, and at the time it was in Pittsfield, Massachusetts. So the major company in that area was GE.
Okay.
I'll try to shorten the story, but they lost one of their major military contracts, so the town started to dry up. Ended up leaving that firm. Ran into another colleague that I knew, that I went to school with. He worked for Larry McGovern Bovis
Oh yeah, right. Okay.
in their Boston
Sure.
office. He said, "Oh, we're looking for people." So I ended up moving back to Boston,
Wow.
and I stayed there for about 2 years. And I was dating someone, my current wife, and we said, "Okay, we're going to look for a job in each other's market, and whoever lands a job first." I'm not quite sure how hard she was looking. So I basically answered an ad in the paper.
Wow. Well, and that's how you got back
And
down
that's
here?
how I got to Hackensack.
Anyone who makes it to your position in life has to have some kind of internal drive. And that is obviously true with you, because you're telling us you used to walk these construction sites. You
Yes.
picked up, you're always inquisitive. You walk these construction sites. And then you were on a fun trip into Boston.
Right.
And you said, "What the hell, I'm going to bring my resume." And you walked into the admissions office.
Yes.
You didn't have an application.
No appointment, no nothing.
That is a big thing. I consistently, when my kids were growing up, and I can tell you've done this, you have to always remember that connections are critically important. In this conversation, you mentioned, "Oh, I saw a friend and I did this, and then
Yes.
I walked in there and I
Yes.
did this." The importance of making connections and not burning bridges is critical.
Right. And a lot of people don't understand that. It's always, okay, the now.
Yeah.
But you may come across that person in 2 years, 3 years, or 5 years, and they may need your help as
For
well
sure.
as you need theirs. So
Well, that's what happens here all the time at the Alliance for Action. I tell people all the time, they ask, "Why should we be involved with the Alliance?" And I said, "You want to be in the room. You want to be in the game. And, you could be the best at what you do, Don, the best, but if no one knows about it, it's not worth anything.
Right.
You got to tell your story. You got to let people know. And then someday you might call me asking for help, and the next day I might call you
Right.
asking for help."
Right.
Or,
Agreed.
it reminds me of The Godfather. I hope this never happens, but if I need a favor,
yes. One of my favorite movies, actually.
in one of all of ours, yeah. But very, very true, and the importance of doing that and working together. Now you're leading. You're the head. Senior vice president, running 17 hospitals, thousands of health centers. Teamwork. You can't tell us about the importance of teamwork. You can't do anything without it.
Can't do anything. So it's not just me. I don't do everything.
Sure.
I have a good team behind me, a good team of facility directors and the teams that work for them. Again, I don't turn the wrenches. I could if I needed to, and I've done it.
Yeah.
But it's the team that helps not just me, but the network be successful.
I want to get back to Don as a person, Don as a professional, but let's talk about Hackensack Meridian Health. It's one of the leading, excellent health organizations in the state.
Yes.
That's got to mean a lot to you. And how did it get that reputation?
Really by just providing the best care. And my job is to make sure, we have the right facility for the folks who treat the patients, to have the best facility so they can provide the best care.
Yeah. You have to have exactly that. And one of the great things, I've told this story many times, but Jim McManus, who was the brother of Mark McManus, the General Secretary President for the UA, the pipe trades across the country. Jim McManus is his brother. He's now retired. But he used to run, he was the business manager of Local 24, the plumbers. So you know him. He's a fantastic guy. And one day I was out having breakfast with him, and we were talking about the industry and what we can do, what the Alliance can do to help. And he said, hospital construction is so critically important. Obviously, we need best care we can get. But as far as creating economic opportunities and him working in the building trades, he said all the trades work when there's hospital work, because every hospital room needs a sink, and it needs HVAC, and it has to be built. So we've really taken on, at the Alliance, we've recognized the importance of hospital construction, and it's been a pleasure working with you, and whatever we can do to help your efforts move forward, we want to do it, because just talk about the many people that you're employing even before the hospital opens. You have doctors and nurses and so on. Talk about your construction people.
So we like to partner with some of the larger firms, and we do some of the small ones as well, mid-sized firms. They've helped us along the way to build the facilities that that we've used to treat patients. The architects that we work with all are instrumental in what we do, and that is our beginning team. And I start out whenever a new project, we all get together and I say, all right, the way I function, we all work as a team, and the communication has to be across the board. It can't just be from the owner to the architect or from the architect to the contractor, because there's more people involved. So the email stream that goes out goes to the entire team, so that what I'm doing. If I could see a problem coming up in coordination, it makes life a lot easier.
Yeah, it really is. So if any point in time, are you able to, you have an idea of how many people your projects are employing?
It just depends on the size of the job. I think
jobs. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Our largest one, I think we had about 500 people, 800 people on the job at one time, at the height of it. We'd like to make sure that all the mouths are being fed, as they say.
For sure. And working with not only the contractors, but working with the building trades, the architects, then you have your material suppliers.
Right.
It's just it all goes around.
It all goes around.
Yeah, it all goes around.
With the current tariff situation, we want to make sure we're controlling prices as best we can. But we'll work through that.
Obviously we've just gotten through the COVID pandemic, and that was a terrible, horrible experience for all of us. But for hospitals and healthcare in general, it was particularly tough. I can tell you, my father, down in South Jersey, actually in Pennsylvania, he was in the hospital, just had to get some kind of routine thing. My father's 87 years old, and he had to be put under to take care of something.
Right.
It's a scary thing.
It is.
And when it was done, I couldn't get in to see him. I was trying to get in to see him beforehand, and it was absolutely terrible. And the doctor, the surgeon, called me immediately when it was over, and he said everything went well. And I said, Doc, I got to go in and see him. They won't let me in.
Right.
And he said, I'll take care of it.
Okay.
And he did get me in. And I remember I got to the hospital was only 15 minutes from my house. I got to his room before he got there. And when they wheeled him in, I spoke with him real briefly, and the nurse, when she saw me, she wasn't happy. And I said, well, I spoke with the doctor, and he said I'd come in. She said, yeah, I know. There's been a lot of conversation about that. And I get it. She's doing her job, and we're following state law and rules. But what kind of experiences did you run into during the pandemic?
It took us all by surprise. I think for us, one of the things, I was really stationed at HUMC at the time. For us, we were just trying to manage, and then we started to look at, okay, what do we do with the next influx of patients that are coming in? So we ended up renovating our cafeteria and turning it into a COVID unit.
Oh.
But then we said, okay, if that gets full, where do we go next? So we actually had plans for 2 other locations on the campus if it really started to ramp up and not take the downturn that it did. One of the things several things came out of that is communication. How do the patients and the families communicate with each other, and taking advantage of technology, iPads to be able to, FaceTime.
Virtual,
In the rooms we just recently completed, there's cameras in the rooms that could be teleconferencing.
Oh, wow.
We've had the technology,
Yes.
and we use it a lot in the OR, but we never thought we'd need it for, a patient room per se.
Yeah.
So that's some of the things that came out of that.
That's pretty interesting. I didn't realize that you had that, but that's all technology.
Correct.
What kind of, you as one of the leading hospital networks in the state, you've got to be on top of technology. How do you do that?
You partner with different firms. What's the latest and greatest. You want to be on the cutting edge, but you don't want to be the guinea pig either.
I get it.
So at some point, someone has to try out the new technology, but you work with the partner, and you do your best to make sure you've got everything covered and that it's really going to be functional and work out best, and then you do it.
I hear now the use of 5G and things, people or doctors are running operations and they're not even in the room, not even in the state. Is that true? And do you do that?
There's some truth to that, in that if you're a specialist and you're in California and we're operating on a patient that needs something more special than the physician who's doing the surgery, you can teleconference in the OR.
And is that doctor just giving instructions, or is he using a robot?
It could be a mix of the two. There's a lot of robotic surgery. I won't say that I'm totally up on the latest and greatest.
Yeah.
But in the ORs we just did, we made them all robotic capable.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So you have these 17.
And they're like little video games.
Oh, yeah.
The doctor sits in the corner of the room on the robot, and he's looking at a screen, which is the camera that's pointing to the patient, and all of the tools and things are in his hand, but it's operating the robot. It's pretty impressive.
That is really fascinating. That's something that you see that in movies.
In movies,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You think
Wow.
20 years ago, the technology has changed so fast.
Was Cary Grant doing that in the movie?
I don't think so.
That's great. Well, when I look at hospitals across the state and I see things going up, it's really amazing to see all the construction opportunities happening. I know right now you're under construction in Edison, we spoke
Yes.
about. What's next for Hackensack Meridian?
2 facility master plans, one at JFK, one at Jersey Shore. We're just finishing a 50-bed renovation at HUMC. Renovation and addition building was circa 1963.
Okay.
So we added on to it. Palisades Medical Center, their ER is going through a pretty significant renovation. That'll be complete the end of next year. A lot of the hospitals we're changing out. Talk about technology. We're upgrading our CTs, our MRIs. One more important one, especially in today's world, the Carrier Clinic out in Belmead.
Okay.
There's an adolescent center being built there.
Oh, wow. Wow.
One of those things that we wish we didn't have, but we have to have. So that project's going pretty well.
When I listen to the things that you're speaking about, the new construction happening, I think about when I was younger and going to visit people in the hospital,
Yes.
and really it was like walking into a dungeon.
Yes.
It was very cinder block walls or
Yes.
whatever the case. It was
Totally different now.
Yeah, I mean now it's almost like going to a hotel.
It's a hotel.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's starting to hurt our length of stay because people don't want to leave.
I'm sure that. Yeah.
I mean, imagine you walk into a patient room, You've got a sofa on the side that can turn into a bed.
Really?
64, 70-inch flat screen TV. We have an iPad that changes the channels, controls the lights, controls the window shades. Why would you want to leave?
It almost makes work getting sick.
Yes.
But no, I do notice that because like you said, it's cold, it's dreary, or it was cold
Yes.
and dreary and uninviting, and now you go in and it's very, very nice. And
Studies have shown that actually helps the patients get well better.
well, that makes a lot of
Faster.
sense. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, so let's get back to your evolution. You gave us the story and the synopsis of your growth in Boston, and I cut you off when you got to your moving to New Jersey and Hackensack University Medical Center. What was your job when you started, and what was your growth there?
Started as a project engineer working in the plant operations department, just managing projects. Had a conversation with my director, who was in charge there, I'm going to say November of my first year.
Okay.
And he says, I'm leaving. I said, okay, have a good night. He goes, no, I'm leaving. I'm like, what do you mean you're leaving? Like, I just got here. And, he had his internal plan, and he decided he was leaving. So the opportunity came up for me to take over the department, and actually turned it down.
Really?
I didn't feel I was ready.
Okay.
I didn't feel I knew all the politics in the place.
Yeah.
So I took a step back. I was the assistant director. And then had an opportunity to join the construction side of things. Became the assistant director of construction. That director left after a number of years. I became the director of corporate facilities. Had the opportunity to become the vice president.
Yeah.
Took the opportunity, and then when we merged as a network, had the opportunity then to become the northern region vice president of facilities. Don Ellis, who
Don, yes.
retired, and then I was lucky enough to apply and got the position that I hold now.
Now, that is a big difference from being one of the top construction guys at one hospital.
Yes.
And then being the top construction guy at 17 hospitals and all of your other centers.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big responsibility.
It is.
And you mentioned you had already turned down one job.
Yes.
How did you say, hey, I'm up for this?
I felt I was ready.
Yeah.
And, you go through the evolution, and you know a lot of folks. You see how you judge yourself. How do I feel about what I've done in my career? And I'm pretty proud of it, the things I've done and how I've gotten to where I am.
Well, you ought to be.
Thank you.
Hackensack, Meridian.
But I don't rest on that. I try.
Well, that's important too.
I do what I can to improve and learn something new every day.
It's interesting you bring that point up. One of my old bosses years ago said, you have to remember you need to prove yourself every single day.
Yes.
You can't sit back and say, well, I did that already.
Right.
Now you've...
I'm my own worst critic.
Yeah. What was it Bob Dylan said, if you're not busy living, you're busy dying?
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
So same
Absolutely.
thing. Same kind of thing. Well, that's a great story. A great career working for a great hospital and network. Don, Hackensack Meridian Health has been a member of the Alliance for Action for years and years and years, before the 2000s. I know that.
Yes.
It's been a pleasure working with you and everyone else there. So we're looking forward to continuing to do that and helping you be successful, because the more you're successful, the more people are living healthy lives, and the more people are working, and like you said before, it goes round and round.
Yes,
so,
it does. Yes, it
Don,
does.
I want to say thank you very much.
Thank you, Jerry.
That's it for this edition of Under Construction with Jerry Keenan. I hope you really liked it. If you have any questions, give us a call. Don't forget, when you're looking at our information, our Under Construction, our bottom line, or all the pictures that our wonderful Elena Lawton puts out on social video all the time, tag us. Tag us at NJ Alliance. Use our hashtag at Building a Better Future. And remember to keep coming to our Alliance for Action events. That's it. I'm Jerry Keenan, the president of the Alliance for Action. Looking forward to seeing you next time. Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in. Under Construction with Jerry Keenan is a production of the New Jersey Alliance for Action. Make sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so you never miss an episode, and be sure to follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget to follow on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. To learn more about membership and events, go to alliancefораction.com. Together, we're building a better future. We'll see you next time.